It's beer o'clock on Real Ale Craft Beer. Today we've got a beer from Browar Twigg and it's a bottle of the Andromeda Galaxy IPA coming in at 5.7% ABV. That was a look at the label. Black bottle cap. Let's get the beer out into a glass and see what we get. Nice bit of smoke on the opening. It's raining beer, can you see? A little bit lively on the opening, and as you can see, there's can you see, let me get my face out of the way, can you see the yeast there flying around? Got a carbonated beer. Look, it's going to overflow a little bit, I think. Here it goes, and as it's happening, it's throwing the yeast around in the bottle. It's quite lively. So I'm going to pour this quietly. It's not too bad in the pour. Probably a little bit too much yeast in this particular bottle. The second fermentation process has gone a little bit lively. A little bit too much carbonation has been produced. But then again, it didn't fly over the kitchen that much. It's bottle conditioned beer. It's naturally fermented beer in the bottle. Second fermentation process. Each bottle is different. They may have had some batches where the yeast is just a little bit of yeast and the beer was perfect. So I'm not gonna be overly critical of what we have, what just happened in the bottle. To be honest, it's the beauty of beer. That's what I'm gonna put it down to. So we do have a hazy beer. There's a lot of yeast in this beer. I'm sure if you can see, it's very suspended there in the glass. One finger white head. Let's get the aroma. You can even see the yeast all over the outside of the glass. Can you see that? There you go. There's a big bit there. Well, we crack on on the channel. Let's go. Golden amber coloured beer. Hazy, carbonated. Let's dive in with the aroma. Here we go. I think Browar Twigg are using a traditional British ale yeast in their beers. I think they're trying to differentiate. I know the owner is David Twigg. I met him a couple of times at the Browar Beer Festival. Once in 2015, once in 2016. And I don't know where he was in 2017. He wasn't there. Where were you, David? I was there. But there's a lot of people using the American ale yeast, the very clean yeast that gives off lots of, it just makes the hops shine in the beer. And I think David, being from England, has used some British English ale yeast in his beers just to give a point of difference. It smells quite pubby, the beer. Like a British pub. But then the Galaxy hops shine. Lovely, spicy, citrusy aroma. For me, it's quite a dry aroma of the hops, if that makes any sense. Spicy, lemony, orange. Let's dive in. Cheers, everybody. It's nice. It's a nice beer. Good levels of carbonation, really pushes the beer on the inside of the mouth. As I was talking about that yeast, it is quite a carbonated beer. It's biscuity, it's malty, it's bready. You definitely get that traditional British ale yeast pumping through in the beer. It's quite prominent. It's almost like Browar Twigg or David Twigg wanted to make a point of making it really British with some American hops. But I'm going to be honest here. Using a British ale yeast and then using American hops. Galaxy or Australian hops. New World hops, if you like. New Zealand, Australian, American. When you use them hops with British ale yeast. It's a bit like trying to fit, you know when you got them kids games where they got the square, the triangle, the circle, and maybe an oblong piece. It's a bit like grabbing the oblong piece and trying to fit it into the triangle piece. It just doesn't quite fit. I know he's trying to make a point of difference, but I think this beer would have benefited from some American ale yeast used in the beer. It needs to be a little bit cleaner, I think. The beer's too earthy. It's too British. It's too earthy. It's too... I drink this style of beer all the time. You know, I work in a pub and just get a bit fed up with it, you know? But on the other hand, the Galaxy hops are shining. Earthy, biscuity, bready, spicy Galaxy hops of orange peel and maybe a touch of lemon and maybe a touch of grapefruit. But as you can probably guess, it's not my favourite Polish craft beer. It's too... Look at the yeast. I mentioned earlier, of course I'm not picking on the fact that there's a lot of yeast in the bottle. But maybe it's actually affecting the flavour because there's so much yeast in here. I've been banging on about that British ale yeast, and maybe it's just because there's just too much in this particular bottle. Maybe another glass of beer, maybe another bottle with less yeast would taste a lot better. But for this particular glass, I can only rate and view and talk about what I have in my hand at any given moment. I can't talk about beer that I can't get my hands on, different batches of the beer. I just got to talk about what's here. And what's here isn't great. It's not a great beer. It's a little bit sloppy. And I'm sure David don't mind too much. I'm sure the Browar Twigg don't mind too much. I'm sure he would prefer my honesty. What would be the point if I was to stand here and lie and tell you all it's the best beer in the world? What's the point in that, eh? The point is to improve and to get better. So just to wrap it up, I'm going to give it a rating. Too much English ale yeast. Too earthy, too spicy. Not giving the hops enough of a platform to shine. Nice bit of biscuity malt. I like the Galaxy hops in the beer. They're very flavoursome, but it doesn't quite work with the British ale yeast. So I'm going to rate this beer. I'm going to give it quite a poor 6 out of 10. It's a 6 out of 10 from Real Ale Craft Beer. Please put your comments in the comments box. Subscribe to our daily beer reviews. Give us a big fat thumbs up. Boom! And cheers.